I don't want to be young again. A lot of things happened. I lived in Ponchatoula, 50 miles outside of the whole center of New Orleans. But the hospital, the charity hospital where I was born, was in New Orleans. My dad had a big farm, strawberry farm. He and my mother were divorced when I was 4. Because she left home, they awarded 4 girls to him. She was going to come back and get us, but the fact that she left the house, the law gave us to him. He didn't know what to do with me in particular, because I was always crying for my mom. If she would come back, not to stay, but she would come back and bring us clothes, you know, she made clothes for us and did what she could do. I understand she could not stay in an isolated place like that. My mom was very, very different. She was more cosmopolitan. I spent a lot of time in the French quarters looking at the art that people were doing. I can't tell you too much about it because I haven't realized it yet. I start the paintings and I sit and look and decide what I'm going to do next to it and how I'm going to work on it and what it's going to become. This, all I know, is going to have something to do with the boy, and he's going to be outdoors. But I don't know, I have not realized who he is or who he was or whatever. I'm just sort of working in patches on it, you know. I had my doctorate when I was very young. I had 2 doctorates from Ohio State at the same time, one in visual arts and one in art history. It's sort of an evolution of forms. And it's like maybe outdoors, you know, you get those whirlpools, those things that move. It's really part of a landscape. When I say part of a landscape, it's my imagination of what a landscape, what would be out there moving around and up in the air. And it's just one of those things that you find in nature. I don't sketch and paint I go directly to the canvas and make one image, one stroke on the canvas, and then move from that, develop it from that one stroke. And that one stroke has to have some of my feelings. I'm not looking at anything, so it has to come from an internal kind of feeling. So I don't know how you would classify that, but that's the way I begin my work. This is my focus up here, this small image area, really. I'm trying to decide, because it has more light in it than any other place. It really weighs a lot. Your eye focuses up here, and I'm trying to decide how much of this light am I going to allow to come through? Elizabeth Catlett. No, she was my professor, you know. Yeah, Elizabeth taught me when I was an undergraduate. And she used to take me outside. I was at Dillard University in New Orleans. And she would take me outside and we look at the clouds in the sky, and she would tell me about what was up there, more than I could see, and all kinds of things. And just my imagination just, you know, just went wild when I was with Elizabeth, because she had such an imagination herself, you know. And I was heavily involved, and I was chased out of a lot of places. So it wasn't fun. I was on a bus with Elizabeth Catlett, and we sat down, and then the bus driver put for colored persons only or something in front of us. And she took the sign. When he went back to his driving, his position, she took the sign and threw it up to him and said, "You do your dirty work." And then he didn't do anything, so she went and got it and threw it off the bus. Wow. Oh God, that was in the 60s. The 70s, I don't know, it was doing still Jim Crow, strongly Jim Crow. And we were in New Orleans. Oh, I was in a lot of those situations. The governor was after me in the state of Florida because I was preaching anti-segregation and so forth. I was a troublemaker, they said. I did create some art about it, but my art was more an expression of my inner feelings and how I felt about life in general and people and things that I experienced.
Oh, that's your son, Claude. Yeah, your caretaker.
Yeah.
Your best son. No, your good son.
You're right.
No,
you're right.
no, I didn't say that.
You're right.
No, we have no favorites, parents, right?
Well,
no favorites.
I do.
No. He's a good son. He takes care of you. So this is Claude. Can I hold it up?
Yeah.
And what did you make this in?
When did I make it? Made it? I don't know.
What is that pastel or?
Oh. That's pastel.
Pastel. Well, it's not. It's probably pretty recent because he pretty much looks like that now, right? So pretty recent. And who's this?
Nobody.
Nobody. Oops, sorry, Doctor.
Just an image.
An image. So sometimes you just paint nobodies.
Another image. That's my feelings, you know.
Yeah.
That's expression, different expression. And she's very strong, and she's sort of weak, you know,
demure,
mild.
Mild. Can you tell us about this work?
Serigraph.
A serigraph. And was this from your imagination? Wow,
it's from. I had lived in the Bayou region in southwest Louisiana for a year, and where I had one of these lamps.
Oh, you did? Was it an oil lamp?
Yeah, and it was like, I lived with my Aunt Laura. I'll show you my Aunt Laura, and when we get to the hallway there.
Okay.
And I made this during that time. Yeah, this is boy on the bench, and it's a serigraph.
His name is not Bag Boy, right? Because it's like somebody said, "Hey boy," and he's looking back.
It
just says,
what did I call it?
What you call it?
God,
Bag Man?
Bag Man.
Yeah,
Bag Man. Yeah, look at the eyes.
Tell us about Bag Man.
And you know, if you stand over here, he's looking at you.
Oh.
Any place you are.
He's looking at you. He's watching you.
He's watching.
And what's he saying?
I see you.
He said, "You better not call me boy."
I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. I'm watching you. And that's his goal on his back. You know, that's everything he owns.
Wow. All his possessions.
Yeah. That's his possessions. And that's, to him, it's like gold, you know, because that's all he has. I was really interested in the cultures, and I was giving lectures in Brazil. I really love Brazil. I mean, I almost moved there. I started out in English, but then I learned enough Portuguese where I ended up with the last 5 in Portuguese. I did most of the travel in Taiwan. I did go to mainland, what they call mainland. It influenced my art because I saw a lot of those caves, the Chinese caves, the paintings in the caves. I studied at one of the institutions in Taiwan, Dillard University. In fact, I think I got that piece back there. Not from them, but when I was in China. And it's called 13 Buddhas. And it was interesting because if you notice, on that piece, the black Buddha is the only one who doesn't have a halo. So he doesn't have a halo. So I took my racism thing to the Chinese. And this goes this 8th century. It goes back and 13 Buddhas, and he's the only one without a halo. They didn't even notice that. But I saw the black man, and I saw he had no halo down there. You see it? Yes, he's down here. And you see he has no halo. And it's called the 13 Buddhas. The rest of them are surrounded with gold and beautiful halos. And he has none.
And he is definitely black. He's like blue-black, literally. And look at his face.
Yeah.
He doesn't look too friendly.
Yeah.
And he's kind of eyeing these people.
Yeah.
So when you told the Chinese, what's up with that no halo, what'd they say?
They were shocked. They were really shocked. They hadn't noticed. They didn't even notice that he was the black person in here.
He was invisible to them, right?
Yeah.
They were not sensitive to his presence.
No. And it was when Chiang Kai-shek was in power that I was there, you know. And I was using his office and his books.
You met him?
Yeah.
You met Chiang
His
Kai-shek?
wife, of course, and his wife.
Of course? What do you mean, of
Used
course?
to have parties.
Tell me about this.
Used to have parties.
You used to party with Chiang Kai-shek?
Yeah.
What was that like? You radical?
Yeah. Well, you know, we did have some conversations, and you know, because he was very right wing, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why they put him out of China. He had 4 boatloads of art, though, and I have to unpack those.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of art?
Chinese art.
Amazing.
This one back there.
Mm-hmm. These are beautiful. And these are all your works, and some of these look like prints.
My Aunt Laura.
Aunt Laura. Is that wash? What is that?
Yeah, watercolor.
Watercolor?
Mm-hmm.
Your Aunt Laura?
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
And Bayou Teche region. It was the Grand Dam of the Bayou. Mm-hmm. Biggest bayou in the whole state of Louisiana.
She was the Grand Dam.
No, the bayou.
Oh, the bayou. Sorry. I do not know Louisiana culture. It's such a Caribbean girl here. Beautiful work, though. And how about this one here?
That's Pajo.
Oh, that's William Pajo, Bill Pajo, our dear departed friend.
Yeah.
Bill Pajo, great painter.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about it, except she's a very strong woman, and she's meditating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that I like because I look at it when I'm in my bedroom, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my favorites. For some reason, I don't know, maybe it's me.
So she might be you.
Yeah.
So did you draw her from your imagination?
Oh, everything is from my imagination.
No photographs?
No, I don't ever use sketches even. I don't sketch anything. I usually put something on the canvas and I move from that.
Wow.
I don't prejudge or pre-do anything.
I really like the asymmetry in her eyes, and it reminds me of Zora Neale Hurston's famous essay where she writes about the so-called black aesthetic.
Yeah. She
says that the Negro art tends to decorate the decoration. It tends to be asymmetric and angular. You know, I know that's up for argument, but it reminds me of that essay.
Yeah.
And your portraits, their facial expressions are stark. Very meditative. And it's always as if they're looking at somebody, right?
Mm-hmm. I studied with an Italian portrait painter for 2 years, and he had a black mistress, and they lived in the French Quarter. And one day I used to go to French Quarter and look in all the windows, you know, see what was going on. And my professor, I was in high school, allowed me to go as long as I would take a fellow with me, because he, you know, was still a district, what do you call those, you know, red light
district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one time we were walking, and I looked in the window and I saw this black woman. And I said, wow, look, Warren, look at there's a black lady there. I think we should knock on the window and let her see us. And we did, and she invited us in, and it was an Italian portrait painter that she was living with.
Wow.
It was, yeah, and so she
So that's how you met the Italian portrait painter, by his
yeah.
black lover in the window.
That's right. That's right. And so she said, do you paint? Do you draw? And we said, yes. She said, bring your work, and I'll have Mr. Galley look at it. And he looked at it and taught us for 2 years free of charge because of her.
And because he loved him some black women.
That's right. Absolutely. Rosa, her name was Rosa. And the thing about it, time passed, and I was at Hampton and so forth, and who do I run into? Rosa had moved to Virginia.
Oh, how bizarre. That's bizarre. But she didn't bring her Italian painting painter lover with her?
No, he had died. She said, I asked her about it.
Oh, that's a funny story.
And but he left her well off.
With the collection?
Yes.
Wow, awesome.
Yes, and she was doing fine.
Wonderful.
Rosa was doing well.
Good.
1950, the watercolor I did. I don't even know where I was when I did it, but that's one of the watercolors. This was done in New Iberia, Louisiana, and I went to this place where they were dancing, and I think I was dancing too. There were bean pickers there in the back of a bus. I really saw these people and went home and did them, you know. And this woman was so majestic. She was ruling the whole thing. And these are different personalities that I saw in the back of this bus. And it's in Tallahassee, Florida. And you can see he's so weak he has a headache. But she's the ruling one, you know. Maasai, head of a Maasai. They're the warriors, some warriors in Africa. Very tall people who carry spears with them. She's being barred. This is the black-white culture thing, where she's trying to get out of the hole, and that big white barrier, it's a man, you see, is blocking her. It has to do with segregation. grew up in Louisiana where there are a lot of swamps, and this is probably the one when I was my Aunt Laura, and I lived with her where there was the biggest swamp in the whole state of Louisiana. And bayou, biggest bayou. I guess you can see the sort of a depression, the feeling I had. I felt for the people who all they did was to pick beans and work in the fields and go home and get drunk. Oh yeah, it's a garden. I told my son when I pass away, he's gonna have a lot to sell. I've broken through some of their barriers. I've been in the museum on and off for years. I was in the Metropolitan for 13 pieces. I have been a full-time professor at Morgan State University, Florida A&M University, the State University of New York at Plattsburgh, Cal State Dominguez Hills, and Cal State Long Beach, and Scripps College, where I retired. And I'm Professor Emerita at Scripps. We had 3 different galleries, and next door to that gallery, we also had a bookstore where we sold African American art books. African American art, but to buy books to read. I founded the Museum of African American Art in Los Angeles. I guess it was in the 1960s.
No, 70s.
70s.
Yeah.
Because we were not included in the county museum here, or most places. We just didn't have works in the museums. And I thought it was necessary to at least start something so that people would have a place to exhibit their works and to house their works. It's in Macy's at the Baldwin Hill Plaza in Baldwin Hills. Still going.
And there was no Afro-Am at the time, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. I felt that something had to be done to document what African American artists were doing, not just for the artists, but for the population, the people in general. And I felt that for the first 2 years, I supported it and paid for it myself because I thought it had to be done.
Now, prior to that, you had done books.
I'd done
so
books.
you felt you needed to put out something that came out on a regular basis.
Yes, I wrote books, but I felt that people could afford to buy this, where they couldn't, some of them couldn't afford to buy the books. Harcourt Brace Jovanovich published the books.
Well, they published one of the books.
The first one.
Yeah, because you guys did Black Artists on Art
by
yourself.
Oh, yes. Books. I wrote 2 books, Black Artists on Art, volumes 1 and 2, on African American artists, so I could document what was happening in the early 60s. In the mid-70s, I decided that there should be a quarterly publication to keep up with what was happening in terms of the African American art scene. I published a magazine, and it was called Black Art, an International Quarterly. It's still in publication. It's published by Hampton University Museum. It has a new title, The International Review of African American Art. My 2 sons and my husband would take the mailings to the post office. It was a complete family operation.
I'll never forget those times when I helped my parents with the Black Art Quarterly. You know, we would help with the packing and the shipping. We would carry bags to the post office, trying to meet deadlines. And that's the one thing I respect about my parents, almost more than anything, is the fact that they were one of the early representatives of a Black business. They didn't just open a liquor store or something, you know, they were promoting art and African American art and Black art from all over the world.
This is my boyfriend in New Orleans.
In New Orleans?
My mom wanted me to marry him.
Uh-oh.
I said, you marry him if you want to. I don't want.
You made the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did. Oh, that's one of your works, huh?
Yeah.
And what's that one?
Crayon.
Crayon.
Mm-hmm. Who is that?
Yeah,
that's
pull that one
Kofi
out?
Bailey. You remember Kofi?
No, I don't know Kofi Bailey. Can you pull it out a little bit? Kofi Bailey.
Oh, he's deceased now.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
What's
So,
up?
was this guy your boyfriend too, Dr. Lewis?
Kofi? No, no,
He was an artist. He's deceased.
no, not Kofi. He was a friend of mine.
A friend. You made this in '71. Okay, come on.
Put my face on camera.
Here. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Come over here. That's you.
Way back here.
We're gonna cheat.
19 what? 47.
1947. That's a self-portrait.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Beautiful. Jordan Tonner?
No. Lawrence, Jacob Lawrence.
Jacob Lawrence. Oh, wait a minute. Jacob Lawrence. Yeah, Jacob Lawrence. Woman has a Jacob Lawrence in her collection. Look at this.
Peace. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Can you get that?
Yeah.
What's this piece called?
What is it? I don't know.
And this was in Now Dig This.
Mm-hmm.
At the back here says this was this is the one that went up in Now Dig This. It says Hammer Museum, Now Dig This, Art and Black Los Angeles, 1960 to 1980. So this was the one that was in the exhibit.
Mm-hmm. Maya Angelou, the two of us were collaborating on this particular print, and she did the poetry and I did the artwork, and we were good friends. This is the mother holding her son, and they're riding in the back of the bus. It's called Back of the Bus, and but it was to show, in spite of the fact that it's back of the bus, there's a lot of tenderness going on back there, and a lot of love. When I paint, I might make a mark, but it has meaning for me, and it has meaning, and I build on that, not in terms of what I know about art, but what I feel about what I'm doing and who I am, because it comes from my internal self. It's when I make a painting and I really realize what I'm doing and appreciate internally what I'm doing, it's because it's so much a part of me that I would like to see, that I can't see without some kind of visual imagery. It's a surprise to me too. I make something that is so close to me and I haven't seen it before. You know, making art and creating things like that, it's like, as we used to say, birthing a child, you know?
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
Yeah. And it's also not only a surprise, but it's something that you're endeared by it. You love it, you know. But you're not supposed to, because, you know, you're supposed to be creating art for selling and so forth. Yeah. But I don't create art for that. You can tell, you know. I'm talking about experiences. I think of those things that I would rather not have had, but I put them in a perspective that you know, it's some kind of love someplace, you know. And I was there because of somebody who loved me, you know.